Hi everyone, Maryann here from Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. How are you, wherever you are in the world, this beautiful wide world of ours that is in so much turmoil? Wherever you are in the world when you're watching this, a huge shout out to you. A particular shout out to Ukrainians and Europeans at this time, given the events of what occurred in the Oval Office between Vance and Trump attacking Zelensky. The Ukrainians were basically booted out of the White House, told to leave or asked to leave. I guess when you're asked to leave the White House, you're told to leave the White House. A minerals deal was not signed. It did not contain security guarantees. Now, before I start this recording, I do want to clear up some points that have been muddied or a bit murky in terms of facts. I do want to say that I do, as an Australian, like my Prime Minister came out and announced yesterday, support and stand with Ukraine, and will do until their country is no longer being attacked. Now, I do want to firstly talk about this $500 billion figure that Trump bandies about. All sourced through various articles, various tallying of the money spent. It is, of course, nowhere near 500 billion. The US has given around just over $83 billion to Ukraine. In some of it included old weaponry that was going to be updated. Some of it included economic, financial assistance, but there's still $99 billion, around $99 billion that has been committed to Ukraine under Joe Biden's presidency, but has not yet been sent. And if you start to think about what Trump and Vance did, one wonders, without the security guarantees, just a minerals deal to get US businesses in there basically plundering Ukraine's resources, without any security or any other assistance guarantees, what has Zelensky got? He has not got any deal. And he did the right thing by pushing back on this during this attack and not signing that deal in its present iteration. I think that Trump and Vance ambushed him in the Oval Office. Absolutely. I think it was premeditated. They were going to rough him up. There was Russian TV, state TV there, or Russian media outlet. Also, don't know how that got in there. But you can see, we know, you and I know what went on in that Oval Office. They intended to make a fool of him. They intended to talk down to him. They intended to bully him. Did they intend it to go that far? I think not. In terms of before the meeting, no, I don't think so. But during the meeting, there was a point when Vance chose, J.D. Vance chose to go for Zelensky's jugular. And that is very, very clear. Once he did that, Zelensky fired back at him, as is, if you're under attack and you've been through 3 years of war, heartbreak. Do you remember the early days of the war, the torture and the killing of innocent Ukraine, war crimes at Bucha? Do you remember that? This is what Zelensky carries in his heart. And so I want to also say, so Vance, that was a premeditated, absolutely premeditated on behalf of J.D. Vance. The man is not a vice president's bootlace. In fact, he's worse than that. He's anyway. Once J.D. did that, Zelensky answered Vance back, and then Trump became angry, and the whole thing fell apart. So, since then, I also want to say, just in relation to Zelensky's point that Russia keeps breaking ceasefires, Russia has broken ceasefire deals 25 times over the last 10 years. So Zelensky's trying to get that point across to an angry Trump and Vance trying to stick up for Putin is absolutely what Zelensky should have done. Let's make no mistake. Zelensky did not cower, did not bootlick, did not give up on behalf of his own citizens. Now, since then, European leaders have come out en masse and pledged their support. Just yesterday, Ukraine signed a $2 billion deal with the UK. Keir Starmer welcomed him with open arms. All across Europe, all across the UK, you've got people embracing Ukraine. And in Australia as well, the feelings are high. I looked at the comments, even the right-wingers are outraged at the way that Zelensky was treated. So it doesn't matter what part of the spectrum, if you're outside of the US that you're on, you are outraged. And why is that? Because each of us know that any one of us could have been Zelensky in the Oval Office. Whose turn will it be next? It's been Mexico's, Canada's, Europe's, UK. It's been their turn. And we all know what's at stake. Now, there are people within the EU calling for new leadership of the free world. I think that the moment that Trump became president of the US, there was no longer American leadership of the free world. So we've got this whole, as I said from the get-go, alliances are changing. It's not a unipolar world anymore. It's a multipolar world. Now, the position is America is no longer really a partner, and that pains me to say that, for the time being. In 4 years, when this whole shambles is revealed and opened up and exposed for what it is, the chaos, the destability, when that is finished, when Americans can eject this rabble from their White House, then partnerships will strengthen, and hopefully we will not go back to the same place, but go back more resilient, more informed, and stronger for our experiences. We also know, outside of the US, that at least a half, maybe 3/4 of Americans support the West and support their allies. We also know that. And so I want to make that clear. All right, a lot to talk about. Also, I just want to say that why are people worried about Medicaid being cut and other social security programs being cut? Now, the facts are this. The first part of the budget process has already been passed. Now it's been sent away to various committees to find $2 trillion in cuts in order to give trillions of dollars in tax cuts to the very, very wealthy. Now, one option being seriously considered, please, I'm quoting from CNN here, whether you like them or whether you don't, they're still a reasonably, in terms of journalism, they're not going to give us alternative facts. They're covering the budget process as a journalist would. One option seriously being considered is to squeeze up to $880 billion from federal programs over 10 years, including Medicaid. So anytime, and the House and the Senate have already come up with dueling proposals. So it's already, Medicaid cuts are actually being proposed by the Republican Party. Okay, so that's the fact. Where's the $2 trillion going to come from? When Trump was asked, he said, well, we won't be cutting those programs. However, if there's fraud found, then of course we will be cutting them. We'll be exposing that fraud that could lead to cuts. Okay, so that's the wiggle room for them. Will there be massive cuts to Medicaid? Absolutely, there will be cuts, but I don't see them being in the magnitude of what you might be expecting to any of the social security programs. However, there will be obviously cuts to all programs. $2 trillion in savings is not going to come from Elon Musk cutting USAID. All right, so let's get started. I want to go to the changing dynamics of world partnerships, because what we could see is Europe, the UK, Canada, Australia, obviously, as it is part of the Commonwealth, it's pledged its support to Ukraine. We could see the free world, minus the US, up against the US and Russia. I mean, that's not such a crazy scenario because it's actually happening right now. I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime either. Let's go to the Oval Office meeting. I'm just going to be very general and say, was the rudeness to Vladimir Zelensky premeditated, playing to the MAGA base, bringing him down a peg or two? Was the rudeness to Vladimir Zelensky premeditated? Was the rudeness to Zelensky premeditated? Certainly was discussed. Strategy was discussed before the meeting. So we have decisions being made here. Decisions being made. Who do we throw on the rocks in this partnership? Ukraine or Russia? I think it's quite clear, pardon me, what that answer is. And who do we abuse? Who do we abuse to get what we want? Okay, why is a partnership with Russia so sought after? Why is trying to fragment and fracture the EU, Europe, so sought after by Trump and Vance? Because that's what I see. Was it premeditated? Yes, it was. There was decisions made. Who are we going to support? Are we supporting Ukraine or are we supporting Russia? The decision was made to support Russia. Now we have a crossroads and a decision made. Okay, this is premeditated. Page of Pentacles in the past. Who is going to give us more? It's transactional. Who is going to give us more dollars personally? And for other American oligarchs, Russia. Russia is going to give us more money than what Ukraine can. Okay, now we have here the Six of Swords, leaving, turning one's back, leaving the troubled waters. Was it premeditated? Potentially they knew that Zelensky would walk out without signing that deal. So has another deal being done with Putin? Because that's what I'm thinking. The Fool card, new starts. They wanted new starts. They wanted to jettison, basically, Ukraine. Jettison Ukraine. What have they produced? The Tower. A complete restructuring of alliances. I hope that given they're partnering up with someone who breaks ceasefires 25 times in a decade, I hope that with Alaska so very close to Russia, that they know what they're doing. No wonder Senator Lisa Murkowski is coming out with all guns blazing. There's much on the table here. Now, the atmosphere around this is huge momentum. J.D. Vance, what is his real name? Jonathan Donald Vance? Whatever his name is. Using the initials, Vance, I know they call him Shady. Okay. There's been an uprising against this. Did they expect this? Well, they're only playing for their base now. It doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks. They've got the presidency. But we see a whole world order impassioned and motivated now. So they've succeeded in doing that. Was that their intention? I'm not sure. We know, in the hopes and fears, we know. It's out on the table now. The genie's out of the bottle. They wanted to isolate Ukraine, the hermit card. They wanted to isolate him, Zelensky. They wanted to, this is also their bid to have regime change in Ukraine. It's backfired on them, big time. It's backfired. Heartbreak, betrayal, and loss. Knight of Pentacles, stability, financial stability. Where's that $99 billion now going to go? Has any of the news media actually picked apart how much is actually being funded? How much is still yet, how much is being committed but not yet spent? Has anybody done that? Has anybody looked at the economic benefits of the US military industrial complex churning over throughout the Ukrainian war, throughout the Middle Eastern war? Has anyone done any of that number crunching? However, we have the Hanged Man. Something is paused and suspended. I don't think Ukraine's getting that $99 billion at all. I think that was part of the logic. So we have the Three of Cups, one disappointment, but we have things moving very, very quickly. Very, 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 very quickly over in the UK and Europe. There's a summit being held. We all know that we could be the Zelenskys at any time. We know that. And so the trust is broken. Irreparable damage has been done for the time being. I know that my viewers are heartsick over this. I know that. We know that. We see you. All right. So can Europe, UK, Canada, the Commonwealth, the rest of the free world, can it effectively support Ukraine? Europe has given tens of billions of dollars more than the US did. I know that will surprise people, but they have. Can Europe, can the free world minus the US, can they effectively support Ukraine? Can they? Not all of them will. Some of them will say the words, but not quite deliver. Can the free world effectively support Ukraine? I wonder who's being bailed out. Ukraine is holding against Putin. Manpower is the biggest problem for Ukrainians. I've got the Queen of Cups. We should unpack her. She's no one person. She's all of us. It's nurturing. It's self-care. It's love. Stability through love and support. And then we get choices. We have to make those choices. Not everybody is going to make that choice. Now we have abuse of power as the foundation of this reading. We know it. We've seen it. That's in the past. What we hoped and what we feared came to pass. We have the Hanged Man, which is pausing, cease. Well, is it a ceasefire? I don't know. The World card, the absolute ending of one cycle and the beginning of another. Moving out of troubled waters. The support is very real at this time. The atmosphere around is justice, the scales of justice. This is good energy in relation at this time to this question. In the hopes and fears, can they mobilise quickly enough? Because we have been, all of us have been relying on the American military industrial complex biggest supplier of arms, I think, in the world. Can Europe mobilise quickly? Can it crank up its own military complex, if you like? Now, we have restriction, fear. There's not the confidence level. Europeans don't have the confidence level, and the Commonwealth don't have the confidence level in themselves right now, because we've relied on America for so long. There is a huge fear of Russia. But there's also a season of time involved here. Financial stability. So at first it's going to be really shaky. It's going to be really shaky. But it looks as though as time goes on, there are new leaders that emerge. And there is the truth and clarity about the need for new leaders and plans. So I like that energy. It's going to be shaky at first. The speed at which they need to really reconstruct now that's the pressure upon them. They don't even believe that they can do it. However, within a season of time, within 1 year even, a season of time, the growing season, less than a year perhaps, but we see stability there, and we see new leaders emerging, and we see new energy beginning. Okay. I want to ask, is NATO dead? We'll see. Because that would be, pardon me, what Putin wants. This is how I think it was to go. Had Zelensky caved, I think what they were going to do, this mineral was just a rape and plunder of Ukraine, no security guarantees, no need to even consider sending that $99 billion aid package to them anymore. They've got to find those cuts, $2 trillion worth. They went with who they thought would be financially good for them. Not just for the country, but for them personally. What are their payoffs? What have they been promised? I think that Trump would have handed Ukraine to Putin. Putin would have broken any ceasefire deal, and Ukraine, the whole of Ukraine, would have been Putin's. And so let's, before we finish with this part of before we go to NATO, would Trump have simply handed over, not resisted Putin taking the entire Ukraine? Would Trump eventually have given Ukraine to Putin? Yes. A gift to you. So what happened in the Oval Office, I can just say thank God Zelensky did what was best for his people. Okay. NATO is, one of the cornerstones of peace. It's two-way. Is NATO dead? Is NATO dead? Because the Europeans have to now find money, weapons. They have to find the military strength now to take on Russia alone. Without America there, so what's the point? Trump has already said he would disregard Article 5. If you disregard Article 5, which is America coming to protect Europe, then what's the point of NATO? So is NATO dead? I think that Europe will try and keep it alive, but we have wish fulfillment. And the moon. What was the intention here? Whose wishes are being fulfilled? and we have a fledgling type of organisation springing up, as I predicted. The Hermit card, America First, America Isolationism, it's already in the past, and we have new starts here. So something new is happening with NATO. Is it dead? 3 cups lost, 1 cup remaining. The 9 of Pentacles, more money for defence. 3 parties working together. The UK, France, Germany will drive this forward. The Queen of Swords, logic, planning. This is the EU head as well, Ursula von der Leyen. The Page of Wands. It certainly doesn't take the same form it always has. It looks like as we go along, there is some kind of new reiteration. It's like NATO 2.0. It's like, does it still include the Americans? I don't know. That will depend on what Trump does in the next few weeks, the decisions that he follows through on. The lawmakers, the Congress. He can't just arbitrarily pull out of NATO. So, let's see, does Trump partner up with Putin in business ways, in geopolitical ways, in alliance ways? How far does this go? Does Trump partner with Putin? Are we going to see more Trump partnership with Moscow and Vladimir Putin? Yeah, there'll be a summit, a round table. Illusion, delusion, choices. It will be, again, this fledgling type of feeling here that's not quite... There's something not quite right with it. Of course, we know what that is, but from an energy point of view, the Hermit, he certainly breaks away from Europe, any sort of alliance with Europe. It's already happened. The cards are saying this has already happened. The Death card, the end of something, moving away from that, from. I think Trump is of the opinion that the partnership yielded nothing to him. The Star card, hope, and then we get retreat, wounded in battle. The Knight of Swords, American people, the American Congress won't take this totally lying down, but there is a new day, a new dawn, and it will come very quickly, so still yourself. There will be much heartache as Trump goes fully in his embrace of a Russian partnership. It's going to bring a lot of things undone. The Tower card, and it's inevitable. It's inevitable. There is it's heartbreaking. It's sickening. But that's the energy. Walking away. Replanning. It's not going to go all that smoothly for him. There's going to be a terrible outcry over his moves toward this Russian partnership. A terrible outcry right across America. So as much as you're dealing with so much pain and suffering with your government dismantling, you'll have pain and suffering over this. The question is, can Congress prevent this? Okay, can Americans prevent this full-blown partnership from ever solidifying? Some people are doing a lot of praying about this. Can Americans, whether it is via the Congress, can they stop this full-blown Russian alliance from happening? Can they stop this full-blown Russian alliance from happening? The oligarchs, the deals. Okay, so deals will be done. Okay, the deals will be done between Trump and Putin. Maybe they've already been done. It's a crossroads for America. Goodness gracious me. American isolationism. We have the new start here, potentially. But we have a lot of this outpouring, this grief. We have abuse of power, sabotage, and we have domestic stability. What Trump is trying to do is sabotage your domestic ability to your security, your domestic security. Remember, Russians hack things all the time. Remember, Russians are responsible for so much, even when they're close to supposed allies. They're undermining them all the time. Justice is in the hopes and fears. What can he do legally and what he can't? So, I feel the Queen of Wands. I feel there'll be tremendous pushback on this. We'll have unity coming together. And we have the truth of it. It's not so easily done. But still yourself. There will be a roundtable meeting, whether it's Putin coming to America or Trump going to Moscow and Vance there, that smug. Anyway. There will be that meeting, those meetings held. I can already see them, and there will be some sort of deal done. Some kind of something signed. There will be some sort of deal done. He'll probably do a minerals deal for the occupied areas of Ukraine, just to drive home a point. Okay. Will Trump be out? Will Trump and Vance, whether Trump is still alive by then in 2028, will Trump and Vance be booted out in 2028? Will there be an election? This should give me that answer. Will Trump and Vance be booted out in 2028? Will there be new American leadership in 2028 that does not include Trump and Vance? Will there be new American leadership? I see somebody in a suit sitting at the on the throne thing as the president. It's not Trump and it's not Vance. He is aged, but not, I don't think, ancient in terms of, sorry about my words, but he's not overly elderly, but he's not young either. Is this a business person? Will Trump and Vance be booted out of the White House in 2028? By the time we get to 2028, the King of Wands would suggest people find their spine. However, there are decisions now being made. We have deceit at the foundation of this reading. The Emperor is in the past, so I don't see Trump still there. Certainly he's not there in 2028. We have giving and receiving help and charity. Somebody coming along that actually helps people in a real way. We have stability, financial. I think this is a business person. But not in the ilk of Trump. The Ace of Wands. Interesting. The Ace of Wands, it's already being planned. 3 cups lost. There is 1 cup remaining. Moving out of troubled waters is the hope. Yeah. Okay, the King of Swords. And retreat. Wounded in battle. The King of Pentacles. Okay, so there's an air sign and an offer here. An offer to the American public that motivates them. Someone with vision, as I said, actually does motivate them. It looks like that by the time you get there, everything has been battered, wounded. But we have an offer coming through. Somebody that will appeal to the American public. Someone with ideas. Someone that young people will support. Okay, the High Priestess, what we can't see yet. We have the Devil, we have the Three of Pentacles, we have the Voter. Okay, some people have said, well, will the election even be held? I think it will be. I see someone new in the president's chair in 2028. It's not Trump. Okay, and it's not upstart Vance either. All right. Where are we? Okay, what's China doing? Playing the long game, letting everything unravel. Chinese warships, nuclear warships, were down off our Tasmanian coastline, a couple of 100 kilometres from our coastline, after an incident with Australian Air Force doing surveillance in international waters in the South China Sea. China released some flares very close to the aircraft, then sent its warships down. So China's showing its muscles. What does China want from Australia? Can you show me? What does China want? Neutrality. China wants neutrality from Australia. Okay, so what does China want from Australia? They are our biggest trading partner. We have the Queen of Swords, logic. Pardon me. We also have abuse of power. Or, not so much abuse of power in this instance, but they want more logic from us. It's quite the Chinese way of thinking. They're demanding, they're going to make a demand that Australia, I think, decides. Moving out of troubled waters, that is also the ships did leave. There was no international incident. Partisanship. It's like when I say neutrality, they're looking to us to be level-headed in a way. Ten of Swords in the sky. Yeah, they definitely want an ending of something. We have the Nine of Pentacles. That's the trade relationship between the two countries. We keep getting this Eight of Pentacles coming up again. It's the apprenticeship card. It's about learning something new, learning new skills, learning a new way of operating in a very volatile world. Something is going to occur soon that throws China and Australia into a volatile position beyond what has already occurred. The Moon card, there is volatility underneath the surface there, but I see a new start. They want some sort of they want a greater commitment from Australia, that they're around our neutrality. We have the Star card. It seems like there can be a reset in the relationship, and we see trade being the big and restricting trade. So we are going to get China playing hardball with Australia over the next couple of years, unfortunately, and it hurts our business and our producers and our farmers and everything else when China starts putting conditions on our trade. China will be flexing their muscles toward Australia and demanding a greater level of neutrality from us in the future. Can we actually do that? I'm not sure. That will depend on the relationship with Trump. We have an election coming up, who I have seen that the current Prime Minister is just returned in a very close election because he's held off announcing the election. He's held off to the longest possible time frame. That has swayed people's votes. It's energised people who are looking for more sovereignty for Australia. And it's also energised our fighting spirit as well when we see what happened to Zelensky and our ties with Europe and, of course, our natural ties with the Commonwealth. So we'll see. Seems like China is going to be demanding something from Australia as well. We know that the US will. So will the US end the Australian Defence Treaty, or the Australian Defence Pact, Australia-US Defence Pact, called ANZUS, which is Australia, New Zealand and the US, dates back to just after World War II. Will Trump and Vance seek to end this treaty? Don't forget, this is where the five eyes are located. Looks like it's inevitable. I felt that. Yeah, I'm sorry, Australia. What they want to do is renegotiate a new defence pact which will severely impinge upon our sovereignty. I'm sorry, Australia, that's where it's going. So be prepared. I said in my last reading that Australia needs to really step up its relationships with Europe and the UK and Canada, and start, we have, I think, defence pacts within Japan and Australia, and I think, we have military cooperation arrangements with the UK as well. So, unfortunately, Trump is going to propose ending ANZUS and renegotiating a new deal with Australia that goes further than ANZUS and any other treaty since then ever has. Is this correct? Is my clairvoyance correct? Does Trump want to renegotiate, come up with a brand new defence pact with Australia that demands more from us? He absolutely does, I can see. Oh, dear God in heaven. So, decisions being made, and this is the Australian people. He also is aware that Americans have a high regard for Australians. He wants to bring them into the tent. Again, in the past, we have the Eight of Pentacles. Now, it is our chance to step up. Can we step up? Strength, of course. He doesn't want to throw us to the dogs, but he wants America first stuff out of this relationship. And that's going to affect our sovereignty in a way. When I say that, more American bases, I've talked about this, it's not going to go well. We're going to resist this. Oh, goodness gracious me. It's going pear-shaped. It's going pear-shaped. Why? Because Trump doesn't see Australia as he has no regard for that as well. We will say no to certain things, and it's going to go pear-shaped. All right, I'm going to leave it there. God bless Ukraine. God bless Europe. God bless I think it's closer to 65% of Americans. God bless you, and stay safe. We'll weather the storm together. Bye for now.